Welcome or welcome back to my channel, Modern Modiste. Today I'm going to be transforming this blanket I got from the thrift store into a jacket. I've been feeling very inspired by these quilted vests I've been seeing lately. I think they are so cute. So I wanted to incorporate that into this project by turning my jacket into a convertible jacket that can be turned into a vest. I only want to spend about 5 hours max on this project. So I'm just going to skip the whole tracing my hoodie onto my paper to get a pattern, and I'm going to trace my hoodie directly onto my quilt, so hopefully all goes smooth. I'm pretty confident I know what shape I'm going for. I'm giving myself some room for a button placket. I'm going for a dolman style sleeve because then I don't have to worry about getting that perfect sleeve curve. And to get that dolman sleeve, but instead of tracing it to the shoulder seam and directly to the armpit seam, I'm going to be extending my shoulder out a bit. I extended it to there. That might be a little too much, so I'm going to come in a little bit to right about here. And I added the mark here, so when I go and trace my sleeves onto the fabric, I know where to start my sleeve. And the bottom I'm tracing to here, like so, a little curve there. And a little curve here at the waist, just slightly, and I'm going to draw my neckline and cut this out. For the back of the jacket, I just folded my blanket in half and used my front as a guide to cut it out, and I excluded the extra added for the button placket. That's how my fronts are looking. And this is how my back is looking. Okay, so it's day 2, hour 2. I'm going to go and I'm going to sew the fronts to the backs. Let's see how this is looking. This blanket is so pretty. I love the color combination, little flowers, it's all so cute. And now I need to figure out the pocket situation because what's a jacket without pockets? So here's what I did. It's very simple. I just cut this piece from my quilt and it's 10 inches by 8.5 inches, and I just cut a slant here for my hand to go into the pocket, and this top edge is 4.5 inches. So I'm just going to go and use my seam ripper, and I'm going to rip off some of the edge binding from the blanket so that I can add the binding to the edge of my pocket. And now I'm going to go sew my pocket on with 2 rows of stitching. Since I want the bottom edges to line up because I want these bias hems to be lined up, I'm going to sew this with my sewing machine first, and then I'm going to go in with the serger. So I'm going to start sewing it together from the bottom edge. I'm going to go and take off some more of the bias binding so I can add it to the opening of my sleeves. Okay, so I have my bias tape pinned onto my armhole, and now I'm just going to go and sew that in place. Here is my sleeve. It's just a very basic shape. It's like very sharp. I'm going to curve this out a little bit, but let me show you how I got this sleeve in the first place. If you remember from yesterday, I went and I made marks on my sweater where I'd marked the sleeve to on the fabric when I was cutting out the fronts and the back. And I just basically traced this onto my blanket like so, and I just cut it out. So I just cut a straight line here, or a slanted line, because you know it's straight but it's slanted, and that's how I got my sleeve. And you want the top to go further than your initial mark up a little bit, because this top is supposed to be hidden a little bit within the oversleeve. So now that we figured that out, I'm going to take this and fold this in half, and I'm going to serge along this edge. I went and I pinned bias tape to the edge of my sleeve. I'm going to go and I'm going to sew this to the sleeve the same way I've been sewing my bias tape to everything else. I'm going the snap button route, and I only have this one pack of sew-on snaps. So I'm going to go and I'm going to sew it to the top, bottom, and each side, and then I'm going to sew it to the top, bottom, and each side of my armhole, obviously, and I'm going to see how that looks and how many more snaps I need to add to make it stable. Okay, so there's my first snap, and I'm sewing this one on the very top of my sleeve. I accidentally went and sewed it to the inside by accident, had the seam rip that. So this is how my sleeve is looking with just 2 snap buttons so far, one at the top and one at the bottom. And obviously I'm going to need the other ones because that's how my bag's looking right now. But I think that with 6 or 8 snap buttons, my sleeve should be nice and sturdy. For my collar, I went and took the measurement of my neckline. I went and I marked a rectangle that is 24 inches by 1.5 inches, and I just slightly slanted each edge, just half, not even half, just 1/4 of an inch. That should make up the length difference. So I'm going to cut this out. Then I went and serged the bottom edges of my collar together and added some bias tape to each short side of my collar like so. I serged the neckline of my jacket, and then I pinned my collar to the neckline and sewed it onto my jacket. I went and I added my bias tape to my sleeves. And I still need to add the snap-on buttons, which I don't have. They're in the store, so I'm going to go get those. And I'm going to go and top stitch the seam down. I was going to finish my jacket with some cute bias tape ties, but I found these super cute hook and eye closures and decided to add the black pair to my jacket. I only used the 2, but I think I'll go back to the store and maybe add a 3rd one between the 2 I added. But yes, that completes my convertible jacket. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Bye!